Hey, what's up, Team Diesel? Thanks for tuning in today. Today's topic will be mindfulness and a growth mindset. So, this is an important topic, I think, especially as there's so much uncertainties going on in the world. There's a lot of different things that are kind of coming about. And I think in life, there's always those adversities that you kind of, the unexpected happens. And it's just, kind of how we can remain calm, remain focused, but also just allow ourselves to understand that our thoughts are not in control of everything. So it's a pretty cool topic, and I think more and more people are starting to understand it's very important in the overall process, not just for athletes, but for any human that's kind of out there, working hard, has a lot going on. It really creates that separation between their thoughts and really the state of now, which kind of calmness is kind of grows in. So really, mindfulness is a mental state achieved by focusing on the present while acknowledging one's feelings, thoughts, and body sensation. All right, so basically it's kind of, there's a lot of ways you can create mindfulness, meditation, breathing exercises. They're all pretty similar in the same categories, but it all understands with what we're trying to accomplish at the state. So a lot of our people here at Diesel, it's like, all right, how are we going to put mindfulness? Well, maybe we try to put 15-20 minutes a day where they're going to have some time where they're not on their phone, they're not thinking about what they're going to go do or what they have to do, or if they got to pick up the kids, or if they got to go work out, or if they got to go to the grocery store. It's like, no, you're going to take 15-20 minutes a day, and maybe you break it up into 5-minute bouts where you're just going to go, a lot of times we'll be like, go for a walk, go to a dark, create a dark room, or go sit in a chair, turn the lights off, put some calming music on, and maybe take a breathing exercise where it's five seconds, you're going to inhale through your nose, 5-second pause, 5-second exhale through the mouth, and maybe we do that for 5 minutes. It's that easy. But again, understanding that mindfulness is just, putting our focus, on the present moment, on right now, and it becomes very powerful for, not only just calming the mind, but when you calm the mind, especially throughout the day, if you do 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at lunch, 5 minutes in mid-afternoon, and then 5 minutes an hour before bed, you've kind of put yourself little gaps in this maniac thought process of all these things you have to do. And what you've done is you almost have created these little, not half times, but these little breaks in between. And it allows you overall, big picture, to be in a calmer state, especially when you go to bed. A lot of our athletes and a lot of our business guys, and really just our overall adults are like, we see their REM sleep. That REM sleep's, they say you want 23%. So if we're sleeping 7-8 hours, that's roughly an hour and a half, 2 hours of sleep. So they're saying if we're not getting that, we always check our athletes and our people. It's like, all right, this is where we start to put in this little mindfulness practice, or some meditation, or some, breathing exercises. All these things are kind of interchangeable, to my thoughts. It's like, we need to just add some more time where we're not going zonkers up here, all right? And it becomes pretty cool, because a lot of times it's like just a 10-minute breathing exercise an hour before bed. You can even do the 5-second in, 5-second pause, 5-second exhale. Next thing you know, you're like, man, I went from having REM of an hour to an hour and a half. Like, man, I feel so much better. And we know that REM sleep is when our body's storing our short-term and long-term memories. It's when we're cleaning up our cognitive abilities. And man, it's a big part of our mood. When I get low REM, you don't want, I'm like a grizzly bear. But if I get good REM, it's like the birds are chirping, things are good. You might have like that feeling like a little sluggish when you start, when you wake up. But man, I'm like, I can feel it. I slept good. And that's when we're dreaming too. So I think that's a very important reason why we think the mindfulness is so important enough to discuss it, is the big part of that mental ability. Because if you're getting good REM, that means your brain is getting repaired every night, every day, so you can just keep going. And it's really important for a long-term health as well. Because a lot of these, these diseases that are out there are caused by these, not getting enough REM for 20 years straight, and eventually that body never cleaned up all that plaque and stuff in the brain, and boom, things start to go south. So I think it's just very important, not only for the REM, but also the big picture of feeling better, feeling in control of your life, and not allowing yourself to get on one where the next thing you know, you just can't, the day's just bland and things are going bananas. It's like, take that time to step back, and a lot of times if you look, how to create a mindfulness practice, You set up amount of time that we talked about, build a game plan. All right, we're great. We're here for you with daily routines, sleep routines, mindfulness routines. This is what we're doing now. We're utilizing the WHOOP, to give us data metrics, and then we're building game plans for the individual. It's a great attribute because we're using real-time data. So it's like, hey, we're going to check the REM, we're going to check the deep. Let's do this, let's do that. Next thing you know, it improves and we're getting better. Set a time, set an intention or goal. But again, let go of any expectations. Meaning like, hey, if I'm gonna go for a 5-minute walking, like for me, I always say, the dog needs to take a walk, and people are like, what are you talking about? You're crazy. It's like, that just means that when I do maybe kind of cardio, or I go for a run, walk, or I bike, and I do it for a longer period of time, it's meditative for me. It puts me in a state of mindfulness because I'm only focusing on that cardiovascular drive, or biking, or running, or maybe it's jumping in the cold plunge. Like, that's mindfulness. Those are practices in which, when it's super cold, I'm not thinking about what I gotta eat for dinner. What I'm thinking about right there is survival, and the mindset of like, boom. And when I'm running, it's like you get into that runner's high. I believe it because it almost calms this thing down, where like the million thoughts in your head go away, and you're just thinking about running. You're just thinking about what you're doing right now. And that's where I feel like a lot of people that do understand that, they start to really benefit from like some of those cardio drives. They're like, man, sometimes, some days I'm all over the place up here. I jump on the assault bike and I ride for 10, 20 minutes, and I'm like, I feel much better. Everything's kind of more in focus, which is kind of awesome. And then it says if you're gonna sit down, you want to find a comfortable position. You want to find something where you're not gonna be fidgety, but you can just literally think about the breathing and the breath. So if I'm going in my room and I just want to take 10 minutes to breathe, it's like, all right, I might lay on my back, I might sit upright, but all I'm going to do is think about breathing. I'm going to stay on that cadence, because when we're breathing, the body is in control. It's like if we stop breathing, like if we're in control of breathing, we had to breathe to survive, we'd all be dead because we'd forget to breathe. But our autonomic nervous system regulates all our functions. So basically what we're doing when we get into these breathing sets is being like, here you go, body, you take control of it. I'm going to think about only breathing, and then that body's going to take control of the cadence. Next thing you know, it's going to raise the stress levels down. All right, really nice. But ways that you can kind of do it: walks, cardio, meditation practices, cold hot therapies, saunas. You got your cold therapies, freezers, different plunge techniques. All those things, though, if you take a mindfulness practice like, hey, I'm going to go sauna for 10 minutes, but I'm not going to bring my phone in and look on Instagram. I'm going to focus on just my breathing for 10 minutes, get the eyes closed and just relax. Or I might go in the cold plunge and I'm just going to shut my eyes and I'm going to breathe for 5 minutes. Things like that are what becomes so powerful, is that they're right there for you, but you just add them into your practice. Like, hey, I'm going to do 5 minutes when I wake up. I'm going to do the cold plunge 3 days a week in diesel, which puts me into mindfulness. That's why when I get out of the cold plunge, people are like, oh, you like that? I'm like, cold is cold, man. I don't love it, but I love the feeling after. Not only physiologically, but mentally, I feel so sharp and fresh because I've given myself a 5 to 10 minute break from being, erratic maniac, running around trying to take over the world and impact at the high level. It's like, take a second, take a little breather. They go a long way. Last thing is the growth mindset. That's a big part of what we do here is, we don't want negative emotions in our life. We don't, you take things in adversity and you take them in stride. You're not going to allow that thing to derail you just because one thing goes south. The negative emotions suppress our immune system too. So a lot of people that are always sick, maybe be a little happier, all right? Maybe, think of things a little more positively, because there's always, every day, something goes wrong, or something goes unplanned, or something happens. But I don't think we always have to think negative or bad. It's like, it just happens. Like, sometimes things go south. It's like life happens, all right? How are we going to respond to it? If you're always in this thought of chaos, well, you're going to, when we're in an emotional state, we usually aren't going with the best option when things happen. Usually we're acting off emotions, which then cause us to be erratic, be aggressive, this or that. But when we're calm in the setting, it's like, that's when you can really come up with the best solution to these problems. It's like maintaining calm, maintaining positivity. We're okay. Life will go on. But very important for health, very important for gains as well. If you're trying to lose weight, you're trying to be healthier, you're trying to be, not sick and keep your body up to standards. It's like, be happy, be positive, all right? It doesn't mean when things go bad, it's like you don't ever, respond. It just means be in control of your responses, all right? So that becomes great. Positive emotions support immune system health, so it's the vice versa. You think negative all the time, it's probably not going to help you because you're always going to be in that state of stress, chaos. But if you're more positive towards how things act, Your body's not always stressed. It's like, oh great, this happened, oh great, I don't have to, every time I have a negative emotion, it's triggering these hormones in our body. Next thing you know, we have them flowing through our body, and if we're not doing anything, that's how you build that stress up. No good things happen there. So overall, I think when you compare the Whoop to everything, our metrics, when you have great mindfulness throughout your day, like I said, let's shoot for 15-20 minutes. Shoot, if you just do 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night, where you're just doing a simple breathing, or maybe you go for a 5 to 10 minute walk or a bike ride, any of those things, you use the cold plunge more, you're going to improve your HRV. Your balance of your body is going to be better. So HRV, remember, is our whole balance scale. When we have a lower HRV on days, it doesn't mean that we're, anything bad's going to happen. It just means we're more fatigued. So again, it helps us if we have lower HRV and we want to improve it. More mindfulness practice throughout the day is going to help us improve that. So our HRV will go up. Resting heart rate and things, stress management, stuff like that, usually will go down. So our recovery, big picture, will go up. And then at the end of the day, like we talked about, our REM sleep is super important for our cognitive abilities. So, just off that, we've hit a couple parameters today where we can be like, maybe I'll try some breathing. Maybe I'll try, doing some cold plunge. Maybe I'll use the sauna. Maybe I'll go for a walk. Next time I'm stressed out at work, or next time I feel a little anxiety, I'll go do something physically, or I'll go, work a recovery script at Diesel and really get some things going. But I think it's more powerful than you think, and we are in more control than you think. So at the end of the day, give some mindfulness practices, give it a try. At the end of the day, you don't have to do much. Go in a dark room, close the door, turn the lights off, put some calming nature sounds on, and breathe for 5-10 minutes. All right, it goes a long way. Thanks for tuning in.